Welcome to episode 2 of the Farm and Forge podcast. I'm excited to talk tennis with Tiffany Matias. So I want to jump in just for a background of both Tiffany and Matias. So Tiffany, will you start and do this for me? Just tell your role at Farm and Forge, okay, and then a little bit about your tennis background. And folks that watched in episode 1, they'll get a little bit of repeat of your background, but that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you. I am the executive director of the tennis department here at Farm and Forge. Super excited to be here. A little bit about my tennis background is I grew up playing tennis in Little Rock, Arkansas at the age of 8. So I've been part of the Southern section, know Tennessee very well, and glad to be back here.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
One of my favorite stories I've ever heard you tell is some of the tennis you played in Little Rock that wasn't necessarily on a tennis court.
Yeah.
Will you tell that real quick, just for
tiny
entertainment?
little, yeah, just growing up, we didn't have a lot of resources, and tennis was not a sport that my family. I was a first generation tennis player, let's call it, and so we didn't really know where to go, and didn't have a lot of financial freedom to play, and so my dad would take me over on the side of a Kmart. I think it might be a Burlington coat factory now. Still exists, but it was a huge side of a massive building.
He found a wall for you.
Found a wall in a parking lot and said, "All right," and I'd go and hit against that for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and try to beat the wall. And so it was a fun journey, I guess, if you will, and kind of growing up and playing junior tennis in the United States. I got decently highly ranked. I was top 10 in the country in juniors, and then I was fortunate enough to move on to a tennis academy in high school for a couple of years, and then I went on to play college tennis at Texas A&M. I was there for all 4 years, 2004 to 2008. I am not afraid to say it, so you can do the math and see how old I am. But it does feel like a long time ago, but also it feels like it was a little bit like yesterday. So wonderful tennis playing experiences growing up, and it kind of saved my life in a way. It propelled my future. And I was in college. I did not know what I was going to do with my life because all I'd ever done was play tennis, train for tennis. And I was a communications major because I like to talk. And you guys know that because you're familiar with me. And so it actually worked. And so once I got out of college, I had one of my mentors in growing up. He said, "Well, yeah, you got to figure out something to do." So I said, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know nothing. I haven't had no jobs." And so he suggested that I maybe look at some jobs with the U.S. Tennis Association, the USTA. So I applied for a few of those and was fortunate enough to land a job at USTA Intermountain, overseeing the player development department. So that was fun. Didn't realize at the time exactly what I was getting into. I was 22 years old and still actually enrolled in college. And so they offered me the job right whenever I was done. I drove to Denver, Colorado, took that job, and I thought I was working with juniors, and I was working with parents. So it was a lot of parent management, a lot of parent education, and then coaching and.
Has that changed in the tennis business at all?
No. But it actually, it was really fun, and it was something that I had not experienced. So although I had grown up playing tennis in the United States and traveled all over, played all the junior circuit, it was something that I got to see it from the other side, from the organization side. So I got to learn about different programs. We put on training camps. We did coaches education. We did parent education, ran tournaments, understood managing budgets. So I actually understood the side of the world that, in tennis that I never got to see as a kid. I showed up at the tennis tournament, checked in, played my matches, got my 3 balls, went and played, got my trophy or left without a trophy, and got in my car and left. But you don't realize all the things that it took to actually put that on. Right. I was really, really fortunate to make some great connections and relationships along the way. USTA National throughout. I was there for almost 17 years. So it was a fun journey. I then started to oversee a little bit more junior tennis as a broader scope, not just in player development. Stayed a lot more connected in the junior competition piece, but then got to learn more about the unranked space and kind of the building of the base of the pyramid, but always maintaining kind of my passion for junior tennis. So a lot of people would say they would hear that I worked for USTA and say, "Oh, I want to tell you about my NTRP league tennis match, and I want to know about like how." I said, "No, you lost me. I got someone else today." So I know a little bit, but that's so I was there with in Denver, and then my husband was a college tennis coach. My husband got a job in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was fortunate to keep my job with USTA Intermountain. This was pre-COVID and pre-working from home when that was not as normal. But we were able to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 2012. And there we raised two daughters. And both my daughters grew up playing a little bit of tennis. One stayed in tennis and was a lot more serious. So she started at the Tucker Tennis Academy there in Tulsa, and so that's what kind of got me connected there as well, and was fortunate enough to work alongside Trent Tucker and Matias Marin, who I'm now sitting next to, and was able to bring him on to this Forge project. So it's been a fun journey, and I'm just so excited. I think this feels perfect and right in my tennis career and my tennis journey, and I feel like it's an interesting sort of full circle moment where tennis has been a part of my life, pretty much saved me, and it's not been my life. It has propelled my entire life and into where I am right now. And super fortunate to have my daughter who is still playing tennis now, and she's playing here in our program, and she'll help kind of build this with us. Yeah.
Well, awesome. So Matias, you want to tell us a little bit about you for the folks here in Nashville that don't necessarily know it?
Sure. Matias Marin, Director of Tennis here at Farm & Forge, leading the tennis with Tiffany Milner and amazing stuff. So grew up in Argentina playing tennis and soccer. Then normal tournaments, training in a social club and all that until about age 14. My dad said, 15, you gotta choose a sport. It's getting a little complicated, the travel and so on. So tennis kind of took over a little bit so then from there on just keep playing tennis until playing juniors ITF, traveling the world, and was top 50 in the world, was able to play the French Open juniors until decided to come to play tennis in the US, play college tennis. Ended up at Baylor University without knowing, because at that time my English was non-existent. So Baylor at that time was a private school, was doing good in tennis, and I said like, hey, let's go there. So came in January. It was quite of an adjustment, just to say the least, and then ended up having an amazing 4 years, which these days is kind of rare in the college world to do that. So create a lot of friendships and have some success. And then
before you move on from that, having some success, won a national championship as a player, and then but going back. And I just like your story about hitting off the wall. I love to hear this story. Tell a little bit about your first day in the States at practice.
So my first day in the States, even before, like a couple of months before coming to the States, the coaches are asking you, okay, what's your shirt size? What's your, I think I'm a small or medium maybe. I was like, because at that time, I think no one knows. They're recruiting you based on some results, but they haven't seen you play, so they're taking chances on.
I mean, if you're top 50 ITF, you're going to be good.
But again, still, so this guy's coach, okay, this guys might be tiny, So I show up to the first practice, and the coach goes, okay, Matias, hit a first serve. And I go and hit my first serve, which is probably a 70-mile-per-hour kick. And the coach goes, okay, no, Matias, primero, first serve. I said, I got it, coach, I got it. So I serve again. And there was another teammate that speaks Spanish. I said, coach, I think that's his first serve. And coach, oh, okay, well, so it was a bit of an adjustment in not just on the tennis. You grew up in Argentina playing on red clay, and then you're in hard courts, and all of a sudden a different culture, different language, and all that. So yeah, but that was one of the many stories that I have, with.
Well,
with
but the rest of that story is somebody got injured during the season, and what happened after that?
So that first semester coming in January when the season is going on, the coach said, look, I think you might need to redshirt. You need to grow. You need to, which, looking back, that would have probably been the right decision. I was just there to play tennis. That was my passion. So I said, coach, I want to play. So So then I say, well, you might not make the lineup, so to start. So I said, it's fine. I will be waiting and patiently and working on it. So someone gets injured, and then we're on the road. And he said, look, Matias, you're going to play 6. And then my matches were like super, super long. Back in the day, you play all the points out. So I won the first one. And I said, guess what? We're going to give you another chance. You're going to play another one. And so on and so on. I kept winning. So at 5 and 6, and then ended up winning like 10 matches in a row. And have a really good, for me, really good semester and freshman year. But no, the team was coming out of a rebuilding with 5 seniors the year before and so on. So then the sophomore year, we have some couple of German guys that show up that ended up being amazing. One was Benjamin Becker, who became now top 30 in the world, and Benedict Dorsch, who was now also top 200, and they were 1 and 2 in college tennis. So that changed the whole dynamics of our team. And then my senior year, we ended up winning the national championship, which was the first national championship for any sports at Baylor. So,
really? It was the first ever?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For any team. So that's, a little bit of history in there that was special. But to me, it was about, again, which we're going to talk more about later here, but it's about the people that are in your team. It's not about, if we would have lost in the semifinals, that would have been the same for me experience. To look back and say, look, it's about the people that you have around you.
Yeah. And so from there, you went into business. And then I think you realized business might not have been for you.
Yeah, from there, you get 1 year grace to work. So actually, I went to a country club in Dallas at Brookhaven and worked with juniors and so on. And then decided I got to go back to Argentina. And at that time, Mark Herr, who was now was the CEO at Hewlett Packard, he was a big Baylor grad and all that. So I said, why don't you try, the business world? You have a business degree. And I kind of knew, I said, I just love sports. I just love tennis. I love soccer. I said, just go try. And in the future, if you want to run an academy, if you want to be, in any type of, leadership position, this will help you. So I was able to be 2 years in it's called a rotational program. Every 8 months, you're rotating into different projects. So I was some in Argentina, some I was in Switzerland, and then the rest working remotely for Germany and France. So, but 4, 5, 6 months into the project, I knew that I don't want to be, behind the desk and all that. But I just finished the program. This will help you, which was amazing because then looking back and transitioning to my tennis career, that was actually one of the things I'm super, super grateful that I was able to learn and how to run meetings, how to deal with people, how to have business and budget and all the experience that many tennis coaches, you don't think about it and you don't get to experience,
Sure.
So, yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, and then from there, found a way into Tulsa.
Yeah, so, before that, so I decided to move on that. So I was able to start from the startup in Argentina, an academy with Guillermo Coria, who was top 3 in the world. Good old friend growing up. So he was retiring. At that time, he made French Open finals in the pros and all that. So we started this little small academy for about 3 years. My wife, Georgie, at that time was finishing her pro career. So I was traveling with her, and she was top 100 in the world, playing all the slams. And so I get to experience there a little bit of the teaching more on the pros and the high performance. And when we get to the point after 2-3 years there, we said let's go and live abroad. And well, I spent 5-6 years in the US. That might be maybe a good place, and we both enjoyed that. And she was playing a lot of tournaments here in the US, so we decided to move here. And ended up in Tulsa, and through Trent, and then that's when I met Tiffany as well. And we have an amazing 11-12 years. That's when we met you and your family. And and I think we did something there that was, over time different. And again, with a little hard work and planning and experience, had a lot of success too in the junior and the high performance in the US.
And so then from there, at one point, you stepped away from junior development and went to the University of Tennessee for a couple of years, had a lot of success there.
Yeah, so decided to take a little bit of a break from the junior space and join the University of Tennessee on the women's side as associate head coach. And we have, something that I always wanted to try, I wanted to experience, and the opportunity came up, and it was an amazing 2 years. We we had a team that ended up reaching the Final Four my first year. That was the first time that they're reaching the Final Four for the last 20 plus years.
And it was like every round they were like, okay, well, this will be the one they get put out, and then you'd win again, and then win again. It was an amazing run.
It was kind of different, and again, I mean, it's still college tennis, but way different from the time I play. And like you say, we're like top 20, we're 20, 16, 17 in the country all year long. So we won the first 2 rounds, and now we go to play Oklahoma State, who's the number 1 in the nation, playing at home, undefeated. I was okay, your luck is gonna run out, and we ended up to win that one, and then okay, now you're playing UCLA, a power school and all that, and we're able to win that one, and until the luck ran out against the Aggies, but yeah, so amazing. And again, I go back to the same thing, the group of people from the coaching staff and Allison and my wife Georgie was able to help as well, and the players that we have there. It's just the same story. If we would have lost early on, the experience would have been the same to me because. Yeah, winning is great, it's fun, but like the experience, the process, and everything you go through is what makes the difference. So my second year at Tennessee, we have another great year. We lost graduated 5 seniors, and it was a brand new team. And again, they said, okay, it's gonna be a rebuilding. And in my mind, I'm telling it doesn't have to be a rebuilding. It's another team, and let's go with it. And we make quarterfinals, so another great year. And during the lapse of the year, this opportunity came up. To be part of this amazing project with people I knew, with someone like Tiffany and the coaching staff and everybody else. And the more I was learning, I was like, I want to be part of this, and that's where we are.
Well, everybody, I remember when the announcement came out on Twitter, there were a lot of people shocked, but there were also a lot of people in the Nashville area very excited that you were joining Farm & Forge.
Thank you.
Let's go deeper into tennis. Let's go from a structural perspective. Kind of tell us your departments, your staff that are leading those departments, and what they'll be doing.
Yeah, we have a really strong staff. It will grow. We know that as the demand and as we get our facility a little bit more finalized. But right now we have Eric Cortland. Eric is going to kind of be heading up our performance side, our high performance tennis side. So that's going to be a little bit of the full-time tennis academy. That's going to be the kids who are doing either our virtual school or online. It's school during the day, and it's tennis during the day, along with our speed and power training. So that's going to be Eric, along with a transition to pros group. So he will be sort of heading up that department. And then Andrew Harris. Andrew is going to be heading up a little bit more of the community side, building kind of the base, the foundation, creating programming for kids who are going to traditional school, people who have never picked up a racket before, the adult space. So that one's going to be a really fun one. And then our entire team, which is really nice, although both of those two coaches are, yes, that's kind of their areas, there's an overlap throughout the tennis department from everyone. Sure. And that includes myself, to Matias, to both of them. So we have Eric's wife is Maureen Diaz. Maureen is coming to us. She was a USTA national coach out in Carson, fantastic developmental coach. We have Tennis Sandgren, who's currently on our staff right now, and he was a former Tennessean who obviously has had a very, very phenomenal tennis career, and fortunate to have him on our staff. We have Mikkel Torpegard. Mikkel was at Ohio State. Obviously, again, fantastic player, human being. We then have
Henry.
Yeah.
So Henry, who's another one, was the manager for the team in Tennessee, and he's here as a young, not so much on the tennis portion, but not as a coach, but yeah, surrounded on the operational part of that. So, but when Tiffany is walking through those names, I mean, if you take a minute to listen to the names and the experience on the coaching side, on the playing side, from the pros, from the college, from the juniors, these coaches coaching all across the board are actually playing. So, it's pretty hard to find another place that, and this is just the beginning of the stuff. We had 36 courts in this facility, and right now we're naming 5 or 6, so it's going to grow. So the opportunity to bring the best, not just skill level coaches, but people on top of that, it's going to be already just making a difference in what we do.
Yeah, and I don't know which of y'all this should go to, but from a philosophy standpoint, kind of give me your overall. not academy, but tennis facility philosophy? How do you see both the high performance, the transition to pro, the community tennis? Who's this place for from a tennis perspective?
Yeah, no, I mean, so one of the reasons why I left my job and we picked up my family and said, okay, let's go and move for this project is because of the leadership that was involved in this project and our ownership group, that they were extremely passionate about creating a space for the community, creating a space that, where we can really build and cultivate something, right? And create a culture that of hard work. Yes, it's going to be hard work. It's going to be grit. But it's also going to be very character development. It's going to be something where we want to make sure that we have the right people on board. So that goes from our staff, which obviously we just referenced, and you can hear like Matias says, like it's a staff unlike I've never come across, with depth. And then from a kid standpoint, I think we talk about this all the time, that it's, yes, we want to build tennis players, sure, that we're a tennis facility, we're a tennis program, we're a tennis academy, we will have that, but we really want to make great people at the end of the day. So we want to be a part of, and kind of building that in the base of a junior tennis player. And one of the things, whenever I had gone back to Matias, Robert, you and I were on this project early on, and then it was said, okay, well, we got to build this tennis team. How are we going to do this? Well, obviously Matias is you and I, we talked about this from the very beginning. And because of Matias's career at the University of Tennessee, it was one of those like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. And being able to talk about kind of what we're doing with this project and what we want to do and build in terms of impacting kids and juniors, kids who are going to travel here from all over. This summer, we've already had a high number of players who have traveled in for 1 week at a time, a couple of days to the entire summer. That's going to happen in our full-time academy. And then the kids who are local here, it's we get to kind of build something and do it right from the beginning. And I think that was something that it spoke to my heart, and having the freedom and the almost the direction, right? Whenever I took this job, it was almost like that is part of your direction, is build a tennis program, sure, but make sure that we're abiding by our mission, our core values. And so that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there, I think, two things, the environment together with the culture that we're trying to create here, and also, to me in particular, just impacting a larger number of kids, coaches, parents. So as a large, I think that for me is what say this is the right project and in my career, in my time. And I think it's just like together again with the environment, the culture. Those are two things that can the tennis and the improvement that will come. But the other thing, if you don't have the right culture environment, that could break it too, right? So it's super important.
And y'all are very unique. I mean, very few people leave USTA to go back into a tennis academy or facility. Very few people that I've seen, when they make it into a college coaching environment, come back to coaching. What do you want to say? 5 to 18-year-olds, 5 to 25-year-olds, whatever the age range. And so one thing I'm very excited about, and it's very interesting, is that the two of you wanted to impact that range of student, right? And y'all are so good at it, but what you see nationally is people who are extremely good at it, but they fall into a different realm of tennis, because what y'all are doing is very hard. Mm-hmm. So what made you, beyond the people, beyond the facility, what inside you attracts you back to working with kids at this age group?
Well, for me, I can speak on the fact that I have a 13-year-old who's in our program right now. I have an 11-year-old who's in our program in a different way, so in a different department with our speed and power coaches. So that will be fun. But I know what tennis did for me as a junior player, as an adult. I know what it taught me. I know, and I can see it now in my own 13-year-old. And I think it's something that I believe tennis can impact a a child and put them on the right path. The amount of character skills that tennis requires. I tell my friends back in Tulsa that, you guys are familiar with, that they were non-tennis players. They were non-tennis parents. They didn't have kids who were playing. And I'd say, you guys don't understand this sport. This sport is like, it's crazy. I said, you put these two kids inside of this cage and you give them weapons of tennis rackets and you send them in without there's no referee, there's no umpire, there's no coach out there. You just give them this ball and they've got to figure out where to stand. They have to figure out how to keep score. They have to be fair. They have to call their own lines. They have to know how to formulate a point. They have to know, now you're talking about strategy. And I said, and you're competing against someone else. So, and they go, whoa, what? You mean that there's no one out there calling the lines? They have to actually call the lines themselves? Yes, they have to call the lines themselves. Yes, they have to know how to keep score. Are they going to mess up? Yes. But all of those things, imagine you have a child who goes into this sport and, it requires so much out of someone to actually play and compete. And we're not even talking about it at a high level. This is when Scarlett, my daughter, is growing up, and it's really resonating with me. I'm like, wow, my child has done so many other sports, but this one really requires a lot. And so I think that kind of propelled me in my adulthood, and certainly as a parent, to say,
provide that support.
Absolutely. And I want as many kids to get exposure to this level of problem solving and sportsmanship as possible, right?
Yeah,
and so I think that's what I'm excited about here, is that we can actually do that at a larger scale, like Matias said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Matias, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, why did he leave Tennessee to go there? Yeah. Right? And I think it'd be good for you just to answer that question.
Yeah, similar to Tiffany. I have an 11-year-old that decided she wants to be a tennis player. So she's about to find out what that looks like and what it is.
Right.
And a 9-year-old son that loves sports. So it's just being in the sports, which college gives you that a little bit too. So they love him, but for me it was also, again, like I mentioned before, the chance to give back in a way to players, but to give back also to coaches. I have a lot of great mentors, growing up. I think just the chance to empower people, and become the coach, who you want to be, and help parents, through this process that sometimes, like Tiffany explained, it's hard. The ups and downs and the frustrations, and then just to any kid, okay, what are your goals? It doesn't have to be a D1 college, it doesn't have to be pro. It could be making your high school. It doesn't matter, but we're going to celebrate all of that. And to me, that brings me joy, that brings me a level. So, because I was lucky and enough to be involved with college, to be, trying with a pro player, coaching the juniors with success was and all that, I think, for young coaches to help them look which one is your pathway to. Right. So all that, I think, is put it together with the people here and all that. I say, this is a right call.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody here in Nashville is excited that y'all are here doing what you're doing. Tell me about the facility. We talked in the previous podcast, 36 courts, red clay, outdoor hard, indoor hard. But talk a little bit about some of the nuance of the facility, right? Some of the like electric line calling, different things that we're doing here that aren't typical.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be nice. Like you mentioned, we have those 6 outdoor red clay in general. And, for Matias, it was very normal where he was in the United States. We know that that's very hard to come by.
Right.
So just to have that alone is something that's unique and special. And it's going to be great for our kids, adults to come out and play. It's beautiful also. It's just a really pretty, I think it's just a beautiful court. So having those 6 outdoor red clay is going to be great. The 18 outdoor hard courts, they're all lined up in like rows or banks of 6 courts. So, for us, we're thinking about, gosh, how nice would it be to have maybe it's 3 college matches are playing at the same time. It's literally in three banks of 6 courts.
And can just to interrupt. So there's also 2 buildings around them.
Yeah.
With outdoor and indoor viewing up high.
Yes.
Right. So when those 3 matches are happening, people will be able to be outside of either building,
watching,
looking down upon any of the 3 matches that they want to see.
Exactly. So, I mean, and that's where we're looking at bringing events here. So junior tournaments, adult tournaments, collegiate tournaments, professional tournaments, that we really would love to bring that here. Because like you just mentioned, it's a great layout, right?
Right.
The way that the courts are set up with the 18 outdoor hard in the middle of these 2 buildings, those 2 buildings are almost, I look at it as like it's a frame. It's like a picture frame. It's the frame of the outdoor courts, and this frame just happens to be 12 unbelievable indoor courts. So 2 banks of 6. So I think even for that, again, banks of 6. So if we're still doing, we're actually going to host in February our very first collegiate event, which is the D3 National Indoor Championship for the women's side. So that's going to be in this first building, and it's funny because Matias is coming obviously right from college tennis, and then this is the path that we also want a lot of our kids to try and pursue, and to expose the kids and the community to that is going to be something I'm extremely fortunate about. But and then
lean into the line calling piece,
and that's
too.
exactly. So the technology that we're going to have every court will be outfitted with Zeniz. So Zeniz is it has electronic line calling, as you said. It has the feature. It has 2 cameras that it has a live streaming. It has analytics are built into this. Each court has like almost a kiosk, if you will, that has a screen. I don't know even how you would describe that.
It's like a LED screen. It's a TV screen.
Yes. So it measures your service speed. It lets you know if the ball's in or out. You can go. It has a kind of a, I don't want to say an iPad, but sort of a touch screen on top that you can, scan it to send. If you're about to play a match and you want to scan it and send it to your coach who's back 4 states away, you'd be able to do that at tournaments. So to have that outfitted on every court in the facility, not just 2 courts, every court.
Yep. Even the clay courts. That is something I think that's going to be extremely unique on top of course, just the facility itself. Yeah, and I also lean into tennis parents. I can't tell you how many matches I've watched where a kid will make a call. It's the right call. And a parent's off to the side and can't really see it, and they're kind of charged over the emotions of the match. And so then you see some accusations of character of the child there. And as it turns out, the parent was actually wrong about how they saw it. And it's unfair to the kid, but also to the parent, because previous to electric line calling, even in majors, you'd have 9 line judges out there and they would still miss the call.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think is real attractive about it and that I'm excited about is for the kids to be able to challenge, and no one's accusing anyone of anything because we all know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Matias, do you think that's going to matter?
Yeah, I think so. Also, is the future and it's here. So I think staying on top of that as a facility is needed, and the chance that we can do in all the courts, that's incredible. But yeah, it will take that factor out. It's just like, now let's just play tennis, and all that for the players and for the parents. It's just like there's no more like, well, this or that. It's just
I think what you hear a lot is, that looked at in,
Yeah.
and it was challenged. Okay, it's over.
Yeah.
You guys at Tennessee had a few matches where y'all played with electric line calling, right?
Yeah.
How did that change the kind of the mentality, the culture in those matches?
Yeah, at least for our team, it simplified the thinking of what could it be, or I thought this, so our girls embrace it, and they were more calm at the end of the day, because and sometimes you can see, the computer's wrong. No, the computer. It is like, no, let's move on, let's go. So you're gonna have some of those, but again, when we're talking about all this stuff, all the resources that we're having from Brian and Cody and their team, from the school, from the electronic, I'm trying to think, in this area, of course, there's nothing like that. And in the country, or you take a little more, in the world, this is going to be, very, very unique in an amazing way so now it's just, you got to play tennis.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when the the members on your staff that had a really good career, when they start seeing what all we're doing, they're going, man, I wish I could have had this, right?
Absolutely.
Do they say that to y'all all the time?
All the time. And it, and we think about the staff too. It's like they're taking this leap with us, and they're taking this leap, and we keep going to them and being like, oh, well, we're gonna have this, and we're gonna have this, and we're gonna have this.
Like,
they're like, what?
It's just another
No way.
thing.
What?
They're like, what? Yeah, no way.
Like yeah, just and like and if you have a good idea, bring it to us, because let's see if it actually. So right now we just feel, with the implementation of the programming across the board, but then our full-time tennis academy, which is still something that doesn't exist here as well. Our coaching staff is literally going like, man, if I would have had this, I maybe could have done a little bit more. I maybe would have been able to get a little higher. And so it's been really fun.
Yeah, there's a book that our owner gave us called The Gold Mine Effect, and talks about really good athletes all across the world and kind of how they got there. And one of the things it talks about is really people are the same everywhere, even though we think they're different. But the difference was what's being built, right? And so the kind of that it's up to the adults to build a gold mine, and then some people will take advantage of it and some won't. And so I'm really excited to see in 20 years, just from a simple perspective, the high school down the road, the amount of state championships they're about to win in tennis, and they don't even realize it, right? But I'm very impressed with the gold mine effect that's being built here, right? From all of that. And every athlete that I see, they say, man, again, regardless of if they're in tennis, I wish I'd have had that. I wish I'd have been involved in that. Tell me a little bit, can we lean into your full-time academy? So we're kind of in a transition period. The facility has 3 buildings being built, each of them 65,000 square feet of land, but more square feet indoor because of the mezzanine. We kind of have 3 phases. We're right now up until when the first building opens, and then from the first building opening to the other 2 buildings opening. And you've mentioned multiple times y'all are already running a full-time academy. Explain what each of those phases look like and how you're doing that, right?
Yeah. So throughout this summer, we actually started summer programming at a local high school. Been a great partnership with Farm and Forge so far. And over the course of the summer, we've been able to build a base of players, if you will, players who have been traveling and coming from all over the United States, really. A lot that are local, but another high number who are traveling in. One of the things that Matias and I, when we first started talking about this months and months ago, is the need for something like this. When I say like this, a full-time tennis academy, a high-level training that is can really maximize a player's potential. Hopefully, it didn't really exist in this area from the research that we were finding. Probably not even maybe even as far as the state, and certainly to the extent that we're building in the entire Farm and Forge ecosystem, probably nowhere.
Yeah, nowhere.
So that in and of itself goes, okay, this is exciting, because that just means there's opportunity, and there's opportunity for something to be built and something to be bigger. So this full-time tennis academy, we, conceptually, we chatted with Eric Cortland, who again, I mentioned earlier, and seeing what do we need? What are the what needs to be included in this program? How do we create what Farm and Forge is almost like a one-stop shop of human wellness, and with the recovery center that we have, and then in tennis. So what do we need to do to create something so that's how, and Matias, you can kind of speak a little bit on what that full-time academy is going to look like. And then I can tell you a little bit, we're rolling it out August 6th. That's the first week of school in this area. A little earlier than I was anticipating, but I'm happy about it. So it's exciting because that means that we get to just get going right away. But the first week of school starts in this area August 6th, or that week of August 6th. And so that's when we're going to start our full-time academy here. And we know that once we do, it's going to be something that, if kids are going to want to come and try it out, if they want to come, 2 months from now, because they're like, hey, we heard about this and we didn't exactly know what was going on. We're going to have this. And, you can touch a little bit on what the program itself is going to look like, because I think it's going to be a great product.
Yeah, and the program is not just designed for full-time academy players that are competing and in that regards. But we have, from the ratios to start, I think it's going to be, a pretty good 2-to-1, most likely at times.
Two players to one coach.
To one coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
three to
1 at times. But like, obviously, at the beginning until we finalize the course and all that. But yeah, we will be able to, to really dig in, kind of customize, the needs of the players, which sometimes, you go to a lot of places and there are large groups and it's hard to customize, So, but then you gotta go on the other like kind of pro route that's like one-on-one, and then your kid's a little lost. So I think we're gonna be able to mix both and actually customize it by having a group of players that are with the same mindset, the same goals, and spending time together and building and creating this culture and environment together with us. So we have mental training skills once a week. We will have the strength and conditioning guys with all the technology and all their experience. I mean, which to me that's one of the areas that sometimes like we. In the past, at least, we struggle. Okay, how do we get these players, to be better athletes, and all that. So the team that we have right now, with Brian and Cody, that's like it's already almost a guarantee. I know those guys are gonna get better, and the players are gonna get better. So there's no doubt. So we start putting all the pieces together, and with our experience, okay, when is better to rest? Rest is part of training, right? When do we have to get the school in? So match play. When are we changing grips? There's a periodization and the tournament schedule, all that. So hopefully get to the point that parents can be parents and don't have to go, hey, I got to do the strength and conditioning there, tennis here, take an extra lesson to change something, and all of a sudden now, okay, what tournament? I'm going to play this tournament. I don't know which one. So now it's like, let us take care of it. And you actually go and enjoy your kid play tennis.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal. And again, from ages to 11 to 18, and the transition to pros group also is a different segment that that we're gonna dig in, and then again the after school program for kids that want to come. So always our idea was like, if someone walks into the facility, said like there is a class, there is something for you to play tennis depending on your goals and your level and your age.
Yeah, and I say this, I've said this to many parents, even though we are not in our own facilities fully. I think what I see here is already a top 10 tennis academy in the country, right? Doing that on rented courts in a rented strength and conditioning building, and we're sitting in the upstairs of a renovated barn, right? Yeah. And so I think the way I look at it is similar to the way I look at AI. When you look at AI right now, it's as bad as it's ever going to be right now, and it's still pretty freaking good, right? Yeah. And so for parents, it's who are with us now, it's a little bit of a patience is required. But long term, it's going to be so good.
Yeah. But all those parents you mentioned that right now who are here with us, they're not coming because of the building. They're coming because of
100%.
The player, the people that we have, the coaching staff, and the trust that, we can run a pretty good, system of training. Doesn't matter where, because we have the right people.
Well, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm gonna. It's evident that trust exists when you show up in Nashville and it looks like Tulsa East out there, right? Every person that we used to see in Tulsa, you show up in the parking lot and it's like a reunion, right? Mm-hmm. And they're doing that because they do trust. Yeah,
and we were talking at the beginning. Okay, let's start now. Whatever, start June 2nd. Or maybe we get 10 kids, let's start slow. And all of a sudden, second
now
week,
it's like, do I have enough courts?
So this week we have about close to 40, right? And some from Tulsa, some from California. So the word is getting out. The local ones, hey, I heard from so-and-so, can I try? Sure. And that trying means like, again, that's the other unique situation. It's like, it has to be the right fit for both. Yep. And the players with us and us with the players. And we're in this situation which is very unique. Let's say, look, if you're not going to fit the culture, what we're doing, this is not the right place for you. And that's okay, right? There's no hard feelings, but it had to be a match a little bit for both, so everybody can win at the end of the day.
And if we stay small at the beginning, that's great. that's okay.
If you're a parent, especially,
Absolutely. But that's one of the things for us. It's like, we are building this, yes, and we are building this from nothing right now. And those people who are with us now, and we're kind of calling them the early movers, is that yes, August 6th, we're going to start our full-time academy that I referenced, and then we're going to start our after-school program. But we're not going to be on site. It's going to be a little messy. It's going to be a little chaotic at times. And I feel like the summer has been kind of a nice intro to what that could look like, working out kinks and tweaking things here and there. And then once we have even a couple of tennis courts that we get the green light to take our academy on, we'll move full time onto Farm and Forge property, which is looking like maybe if we could cross our fingers and do some sort of happy rain dance, it could be October, but then maybe it's November. And however long it is, it won't matter. We're just going to continue to build.
And we've got access to other facilities, and we've renovated the downstairs of this barn that we're sitting in. We've renovated the upstairs, so we have the ability to do the strength and conditioning downstairs and the school upstairs. So the moment we have courts on site,
we're here.
We're rocking here. But also till then, y'all have procured courts, and so you have what you need, right?
Yes.
And we've got a van that we've purchased. And so we have the ability to do what we need. I had a parent ask me today, said, well, on August 6th, when my child does school, where do I take them?
Right.
And I said, well, you'll probably find out like August 4th.
Yeah. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
So a little bit of patience.
The other thing that is unique, from the leadership team to focus on the product, which is very, you open any academy or you join okay, you have a leadership team that wants the product, but wants the financials need to work. So get kids, come on, let's go. And right now we're, I think Tiffany mentioned earlier, we're trying to do it right from the start. And it's all about providing the right service to the people and until things start falling in place. And again, we have everything we need, but we're going to focus a lot on the product, what we're offering.
Yeah,
and I think it's we say this a lot, and it's as we're sitting, as you said, at Farm and Forge on the property inside of a renovated barn, hearing a construction site.
You can literally hear the tractors outside.
You can hear it. But we're a firm believer that if you build it, they will come. Yeah. And it's, we just have to stay steadfast in what we're doing and what we believe in. And it's much bigger than just a beautiful property. It's,
no doubt.
It's really building something that's going to, I was telling a parent today, I said, I telling my daughter all the time that you're a part of building something. You're a part of the foundation of something. And I said, you don't know this yet, but in 5 years when you graduate from here, you're going to think, you're going to look back and you're going to say a comment. You're going to go, do you remember when we were out at these other courts here? Do you remember when it was, we were over here doing this?
Doing school in a hallway.
Yes. Do you remember when we were in that red barn out there and we were on gravel roads? And I say, you don't know that you're going to say that, but you're going to say it. Yeah. And then when you graduate college and you're getting into the workforce, you're going to think back and you're going to be a part of that. And so I think that's been something kind of special.
Yeah, and that's something that we talk a lot now. That I think they're going to look back and they're going to be grateful, that they went through this and they were 100%. Here early on. And it's something that we talk a lot about tennis, but I'm a big firm believer that good tennis players are good people. You become a good person first, and then that helps you to become a better tennis player. So, and that's a focus that we're going to have a lot here. We want to have good people, and that they become great citizens in the long run, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for.
100%. And I'm in this, obviously employed here, but previous to being here, I was a customer. Yeah. And a customer's perspective is, and I think a lot of companies mess this up, but they build a beautiful facility and they forget that the people matter. And I say it all the time, I would have rather had a terrible facility and great people than a great facility and terrible people. And what I think special about this place is we were able to have both eventually. Obviously, we have no facility right now, but eventually we're going to be able to have a facility that doesn't exist anywhere, combined with people, because like you said, Matias, I don't know that I've sat in a single meeting where budget was we got to prioritize budget and as a result, sacrifice something else. Yeah. Right? It's always been, like you said, and Tiffany has said, the product.
Yeah.
And that goes from the education space, the spark, every piece of it.
Yeah. And as a parent now that has a kid playing tennis, I look at it as like, I want you to be surrounded, and I want you to become a better person every day. Besides the improve your forehand, your back, and your foot, all that, sure. But are you a better person today? That you were yesterday. So when you graduate and you go to college, you're a better person, and you continue. I think that pathway never ends. Hopefully, but always like taking a little step, and then the tennis will come. But like, I don't know, being grateful, and we talk a lot about with Tiffany that, like, and we want to install on the kids. Just be grateful. We have a lot, and we're grateful from the leadership team. We're grateful for what we have right now, and what's coming is going to be even better. And when that happens, we're going to continue to be grateful, because it's like, again, it's going to be amazing. So that component of, as a parent, like, that's to me is as important as how good I can teach you tennis. How I can teach you tennis, and that becomes part of the college discussion. Where is my kid going to go to college? And they look at the rankings and look at just like, did you look if the coach is a good person? Is he going to make sure that your kid goes to school, that that is doing the right things, or addressing it when it's not doing the right things? So to me, that's like something that sometimes get lost, because they're all caught up in rankings, UTR, what the school, is it a D1? It's like everybody wants sometimes the status. It's like, guys, I mean, like, your child is going to go from 18 to 20 years old, key moments of their life, and just look at the person. I mean, what is this program about? So I think for us, it's like, we know that we're going to attack both in the right way and the right amount. So.
Well, the last thing that I'll add is that from the school piece, it's also something we were in months and months ago when we were like, okay, we know we're going to come and be a part of this. We've got to build it. And I remember coming to you and saying, like, we're going to do this, and I have no idea where my kid is going to go to school, and I have no idea how they're going to be set up, and we're just going to move and take this leap. And I think, with your background and your guidance in my world, it's been really great, because that school piece has been something that I, as a parent, while we can handle the full-time tennis academy. Did I know the tennis academy was going to exist? Yes. Right? Did I have an idea that there was going to be a speed and power? Yeah, because it was on the renderings. Did I know? But like, I don't know.
But it's funny, because you're like saying, like, I was asking the same, that like, we're moving in June and May, like, it's kind of close to the start of the school year. August, not like, I said, where your kids going to school? Don't know. Well, my kids are going to go to where your kids go. Like, okay, we're trusting Robert, so Robert got it. Yeah. So it's like,
and it really, and I think that now it's been so fun to be a part of. And literally, I mean, I told you multiple times going, I don't know where my kids are going to go. I don't know what August is going to look like for my kids, but I do know that I have faith and I know what we're doing and building. And now it's actually like way better than I ever even probably could imagine, and that's everything. That's the entire, the whole. So it's like, it's from the culture to the tennis side, to the education piece, to the, wellness and human performance side. I go like, this is pretty spectacular. And I get to reap the benefits of it through my child, because of, the things that we're all building together.
To your point, we all left an environment where it was working for our family and our child into an environment where we weren't sure.
Yeah.
And I think we're now in an environment where, like you said, it's better than we could have expected. And I keep reminding people, this is as bad as it'll ever be.
Yeah.
Right? So, well, this has been great. Thank y'all so much for being here. I hope folks enjoyed it. We'll continue to have these episodes. I hope to have Andrew on soon so he can tell more about the community.
Absolutely.
Eric on soon so he can tell. So, folks, if you're out there, subscribe to the podcast. We hope you enjoy it. If you have questions, let us know. We'll make sure to answer them on the next one. Thanks again, and join us next time.